Oh, there, we're recording. Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Unstoppable Mumpreneurs Telesummit, where you can discover the habits, strategies, and insider secrets to overcoming any any obstacle, and earn an amazing income doing what you love. And we have been truly blessed to have some wonderful, wonderful, truly exemplary mompreneurs on, showing us how they've done it and how we can do it too. Today is no exception. We have an equally brilliant woman on board with us. I'm honored to have her here. Her name is Kim Sutton. And I can't wait for you to hear all the nuggets that Kim would so generously be sharing with us today. And I'll jump straight into Kim's bio and tell you a little bit more about her. So Kim is a digital marketing and launch strategist, and she's the founder of Sutton Strategic Solutions. She and her team are passionate about helping coaches, speakers, and authors develop strategies and implement solutions to share their messages, products, and programs with the people who need them. She's an Infusionsoft certified partner and a certified digital marketing professional through Digital Marketer. And she has an insatiable appetite for learning, woman after my own heart. Kim, thank you for being here and welcome to the summit.
Oh, thank you so much. It's so crazy hearing somebody else say, my bio. Like I write it all the time, but I don't ever hear anybody else say it. So thank you for that, phenomenal welcome. That was awesome.
You are very welcome. You are very welcome, and thank you for showing up here today and being another beacon of light and inspiration for all us mompreneurs. Now, I'm going to jump straight into the questions, Kim, and I'd like you to tell our listeners. We had a bit of a chat, so tell our listeners. I'd like to know more as well about a bit about yourself. How many children you have, and also a bit about your journey to becoming a mompreneur. What actually made you decide to take that entrepreneurial leap?
Right. Well, I have to say it wasn't really intentional.
Okay.
I am educated as an interior architect. I was an interior designer for 10 years. I was actually in Manhattan on 9/11. And I came out to Ohio with my ex-husband to design schools. I got a job out here and I was designing schools all throughout the state. But public schools in Ohio are funded by the taxes. So when the economy took the downturn in 2008, the taxpayers didn't want to pay for the improvements anymore, and I lost my job. So I had a e-commerce business for a while. I had a few challenges. The marriage was a big challenge as well, and I ended up going through a divorce, and almost immediately found my husband Dave, who's absolutely my soulmate, and I was actually, because I lost my job and because I'm sort of in the middle of nowhere, Ohio. Sorry, anybody who's near me, you may not agree, but I'm in the middle of cornfields and hog and cow farms. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm not really in interior design Mecca, right? So I rolled burritos at Chipotle, which is a very popular restaurant over here. And then I started working for American Honda, which is like the parts division of the big auto manufacturer. I was an administrative assistant, but that's what I could find. So long story short, my husband is a U.S. Air Force veteran who hadn't gone to college, and he kept on losing his job. And we finally decided it was God's way of telling him that it was time to go pursue his dreams and get his degree. Always wanted to be a video game developer. So we decided that he was going to take his GI Bill and compress it into 3 years, compress his bachelor's into 3 years. He wasn't going to work, and he was just going to focus on that full time. But when you're working through a temp agency like I was, that's a challenge. Like losing one half of your already small income while your husband's going to school is just a big challenge. So my choices were either work third shift in a gas station or to go out. I went to Elance, is what it was at the time. Now it's Upwork, and I started putting out proposals, like ridiculous numbers of proposals for virtual assistance work. And within 2 months, I was contracted for 80 hours a week. I do not recommend that to anybody.
Wow.
That's just way too much. But I quit my
Mm.
job at Honda and I started working at home. And that was 4 years and 10 days ago now. So, yeah.
Wow. Not
So,
that you're counting.
yeah, but I already had 2 sons. We found out right after I quit my job that I was pregnant. We had already had several miscarriages in 2012 and had decided that we weren't going to try anymore. But when, as soon as I quit my job and started the business, we found out we were pregnant with our daughter, Nevaeh.
Yes.
And then we bought a house thinking it was perfect for our family and that we were done growing our family, because that brought our total to 5 between my husband and I. And when, God laughed and gave us twins. So our youngest 3 are 16 months apart. So we have 7 kids between the 2 of us, 5 of us. 5 of them live in the house, and the 5 in the house range from 13 down to almost 2, the 2-year-old,
Wow.
2-year-old twins. Yeah.
Wow.
So let me tell you, if you can do it as a mompreneur with 1, it's a challenge. But
Of
if
course.
I can do it with 5 in the house, and anybody else can do it.
Absolutely. What an amazing, truly awesome story. And
Thank you.
there were so many nuggets there, Kim, so many nuggets. You spoke to determination. You spoke to doing what you've got to do, which is something that challenges a lot of us mompreneurs, and it challenged me as well initially. But when your back's against the wall and your vision is in front of you, and that's the only thing that you can see, for as intangible as it is, as clear as day, you do what you've got to do. And you've highlighted that. I tell you, I salute you. That's a truly brilliant, inspiring story. Thank you so much. You also highlighted something that a few of the moms on this summit mompreneurs have highlighted so far. And that is that they lost their jobs with the economy. The economic downturn in 2008, 2009. And that happened with me as well over here in the UK. Mine came a little bit later. I think they couldn't, I think due to employment law, get rid of me as I was pregnant. But when I came back,
right,
that happened shortly thereafter. But these things happen. We don't see it in the moment, but I'm a firm believer now that when stuff happens, whatever it is, it happens for a reason.
Oh, absolutely. And Cheryl, I have to tell you, I was commuting when I was a designer here in Ohio. I was commuting an hour each way, because as much as I feel like I'm in the middle of nowhere, where I was working was actually literally in the middle of nowhere. Like besides that town, the nearest town that had any type of shopping center was like 45 minutes away. So I did not, for the 4 years that I was working there, I did not know anybody in my town that I was living in besides like the coaches of my kids, sports teams.
Yeah.
So it was the second, like literally within a month of losing my job, when I got when I joined a couple of local referral groups. Like I still have some of my closest friends are from that referral group, but it was my first opportunity to actually meet people. Well, it's because I didn't put myself out there, but yeah.
Wonderful, truly, truly awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Kim. All right, so we've learned about your start. And we know, well, we'll get to know even more as we go along where you are now. But what were some of the challenges that you faced early days of starting your business? And how did you overcome them?
Right. Well, the biggest challenge to start was not having a lot of expendable income. I mean, we were already super strapped. Even just spending the $10 a month for Elance, it hurt. Getting the URLs for our websites, because at the same time that we set up my husband's we started setting up his website, and he's actually developing his game now. So I'm glad we did that. But those little small investments, they hurt at first. And now I look back and I'm thinking, wow, that was $10 a month we were spending on the business. I don't even want to think about what I'm spending now, but,
Mhm.
yeah, those little things, but they were totally worth it. Like,
Yes.
I know because prospects and clients told me that it was having a website rather than just a LinkedIn username or
Mhm.
profile that won me the project. So
Mhm.
even if it's not professionally designed, even if it's just something that you put together using WordPress, it definitely
Mhm.
pays off. You'll get your own URL
Mhm.
to pay the $12 a year, whatever, through GoDaddy and make that investment.
Yeah, that's brilliant advice, and I particularly hear that, take that on board, because oftentimes we hear, and I do believe there's an element of truth to it, that you don't need a website to get started in business. I do believe there's some truth in that, but you have highlighted that in your instance, and it would be the instance of many other mompreneurs, I'm sure, having some sort of web presence, if, as you said, even if it's not professional, it
Yeah.
helps. Yeah.
Well, and I know a lot of people do say that it's not required, but the difference between having your own website and just being on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or anywhere is that you own that.
That's right.
Should Facebook shut down tomorrow, or should LinkedIn, and I'm not saying they will, I mean, there goes what you had. You really do need to have that, something that you own.
Yeah, I hear you there. I hear you there. We're losing you on the volume,
Oh,
a
okay.
little bit, a little bit. But,
My microphone tilted itself up. Is that better?
that's better. Lovely.
Okay.
Lovely. Great. Thank you. All right. So we've heard about the early challenges. What about now? What about now? What are some of the challenges that still crop up for you, and how do you manage them? They never go away, challenges. They take on a different shape and form. What are they for you, like for you now?
Well, it's not really going on now, but I have to share what happened last year is that I came back from having the twins, and I put out some proposals, and the business just blew up. And I mean, within a month, I had so many clients, and realized I needed to bring on help, and grew my team. And I'm going to say way too fast,
Okay.
because I can't continue doing client work and start managing a team to do their own client work for me. And if one of them goes missing, I don't have a clue what's going on because I'm not working on it. So that was my struggle last year. I ended up going back down to a solopreneur operation for probably a good 9 months, probably just until a couple days ago when I brought back my online business manager, because I really had to get everything in order and start setting up my own systems. And that's what the problem was. I didn't have any systems. I didn't have procedures for my own business. And you shouldn't be just winging it. I know it takes time, but anytime you can develop your standard operating procedures for each thing that you do, you really should.
Yes. Yes. Lovely.
Yeah.
Great. No, that's great. That's absolutely true. What I haven't said yet, I've been saying it throughout. You probably see me taking notes, Kim. Is to everyone to please get your notepad and pen out and take your notes. You know the drill by now, because I think what's being shared here is so very inspirational. So with such an amount of experience and knowledge behind it, I certainly don't want to miss the bits. And I'll encourage our listeners to do the same. Capture as much as you can, and refer back to it later on. Great. So for you, it was growing your team a little too big too soon. You thought it was, and then you scaled back.
Yeah, and I also want to add one more. I was not valuing myself adequately. And I have a great business coach, and he and I have even just reestablished our coaching relationship. But one of the things that he asked me last year is, why are you charging that much? Like, what you're doing, you should be charging a lot more. Like, I don't know how I can charge that more. He's like, why don't you know? And I'm like, we got to the root of it, and it was because I wasn't confident.
Yeah.
And that's actually a reason why I couldn't sustain my team, was because they knew what they were worth, but I didn't know what the company and what our services were worth. So then the margin between what I was paying them and what we were getting wasn't making up for all the work that went into management.
Yeah.
So I've actually tripled the rates for those services, and it's the difference between going into a weekend with $1.50 and not knowing how you're going to feed everybody. And I've been there. It's scary, but everything, you'll find a way. I find a way. Somehow we've always had what we needed, but it's the difference between going into a weekend with $1.50 or looking at your bank account. And as my coach says, raising your zero, like every month, be looking at your bank account, and don't be comfortable just if you have zero and you're black. Like, raise it every month, raise it a little bit more.
Raise your zeros.
Yeah. So maybe next month you're only going to be comfortable with your bank account if you have 200 in there, or 400, or 2,000, or maybe 20,000. I'm trying to get, I'm trying to tack the extra zeros to my zero. But
absolutely. You touched on something there about confidence, and it is something that or the lack thereof is something that quite affects a lot of us women. And I think it affects mompreneurs in a particularly profound way. We were having this conversation, one of the other experts and myself, and we become so many things to so many people that we sort of get lost in it all and lose our own identity along the way. So confidence gets impacted big time. And although I now believe that confidence isn't the be all and end all, without it, we struggle. Yeah. And we're held back a lot from being the biggest, fullest possible versions of ourselves that we could be. So yes, thanks for speaking to that as well.
Right? Well, it's really important to get your support network.
Yes, very, very important. That's something that has come up on our summit as well. What's that like for you? What's your support network like? Who does that consist of for you? Okay.
Well, he took himself out of the office because he didn't want to keep on coughing. But my husband is the biggest one because he's constantly encouraging me, and I have to say that's the biggest difference between now and when I was married to my ex. And I just have to share that my ex-husband would do anything to sabotage my business when I had it, my previous business, to the point that he actually. I was selling on eBay, and he set up the wireless router so that I could not access my web store. Like he was trying to, but you can't. You have to know when you need to get out of a situation. Like if your spouse or significant other or family don't have your back, I don't want to say just cut off all communication with them, but if you're not doing anything illegal, and if you're doing what's best for your family, then don't let anybody else get in your way. And sorry, I just need to share this, but for the mompreneur community, I'll make sure that there's contact info. I'm sure, Cheryl, you'll have contact info.
Yes, definitely, yes.
If any of you are in an abusive relationship, please, you don't hesitate for a second to reach out to me, because there are ways to get out of it, and there is assistance that can be gotten to get you out of abusive relationships. That's what I was in, and I stayed, and my children were being abused too, but there was nothing I could do, and I stayed for years too long because I didn't think there was another way. So if you're scared, if you need support, I'm serious. No charge, and this is not my offer, but just contact me, because I can't stand to hear anybody being stuck where they shouldn't be.
Kim, that's very touching, and that is one of the most powerful sharings that has come across on this summit today. I launched into this summit expecting brilliance, but not quite knowing in what forms that would show up. And I have to say, with no disrespect at all the interviews have been amazing. what you have just shared here, and I'd be surprised if anyone who is part of this network here disagrees. What you've shared is enormously generous, courageous, and powerful. And I thank you from the depths of my heart, really, for doing that. There are, and I'll tell you why I'm particularly thankful. This is something that our industry does not touch on, I would have to say, at all.
No, it absolutely doesn't.
No, it does not. I've shared with a couple of the other mompreneurs on the summit that when we hear from it's a word I do not like, the gurus. Okay, so we'll go with super coaches, whatever we want to call these esteemed, really, coaches in the industry. We always hear of the wonderful support that they have from their marvelous husbands, and I'm sure they are. I hope they are. We never hear from the coaches who have those very serious issues, dealing with, as well as trying to get, their businesses to the next level. And I understand why. That's a huge level of vulnerability. I don't know if you get much more vulnerable than that. So for you to have just shared that and to so generously put out there, please contact me if you feel like reaching out. And this is not your offer. I thank you wholeheartedly for that. It is an issue that's very near and dear to my heart as well. I really have zero tolerance for abuse of any kind.
Yeah.
And when it's of a nature that's willful as well, and definitely crafted to stop and stall, a woman's growth, a woman's progress. Yes, that I'm probably getting quite fired up already. That really does get my goat, as we say. So I really do appreciate that. Thank you.
There is so much more I could say, but we are civil now. And
yes. Lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. It's good to get to that place. Lovely. Great. I'll take a sip of water just about now.
Yeah. I'm going to join you with that sip.
Lovely. Okay. So now you've been in business for a number of years, and you have clients across the spectrum. Do you believe that any mom can become a holistically successful entrepreneur?
Absolutely. And I have to tell you why I know. When I was 24 weeks, I think, pregnant with twins, it was the last week I could possibly travel. When I was pregnant with the twins, I was down in Arizona in the 100-degree heat getting my Infusionsoft certification.
Okay.
And that made a huge difference in my business. It was a huge, 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 huge investment, but I just need to add a little nugget here. The only way that was possible for me was because I made a deal with a client and a couple of her associates that they were going to sponsor me to get my Infusionsoft certification in return for me giving discounted Infusionsoft services for a set period of hours.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to ask for help. Give a deal in return for something else. So the three of them literally got Infusionsoft services at probably 1/10 of the going certified partner rate for a certain amount of hours in order for me to go and get my certification.
Marvelous. Marvelous. And you just touched on there again, when you're determined to get something, that you will, as ethically, as you could and should, you will go the extra mile to get it. It may take you that much longer, but you're in it for the long haul.
Right.
And you problem solve away and get it. Yeah. Lovely. So it's one of those questions. It is the question, I should say, on this summit that has drawn, different opinions from the coaches, with some believing no, and I get that. But what I think I get between the yeses and the no's, absolutely not, what I get is it takes a certain amount of determination, a certain amount of fire in the belly,
Yeah.
a certain amount of no matter what to do this,
Yes.
to do it and to stick with it and grow in it and achieve and do well in it. Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Brilliant, brilliant, lovely. So, which do you think you lean more towards? We hear about work-life balance, and we hear people talking more and more recently about blend. Which do you tend to lean more towards, Kim?
Oh, I've never even heard of blend, but I saw it on the questions. I am really trying hard on the work-life balance. I'm really trying hard. And just this year, it's gotten better. But I mean, I'm sitting in my office, which was supposed to be an office when we moved into this house, and now it's like office/playroom. So, to all of the mompreneurs who are homeschooling or have your babies at home with you all day, bravo. I cannot do that. Like, I will go absolutely insane. So my 3 youngest are in daycare and the rest are in school. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. You know, it's and that there's another piece as well. I do there's a triangle of light beaming in because I haven't closed.
Oh, on your side. Okay. Oh, I like
my side. It's my side.
I'm looking at my screen trying to figure out where I've got
No,
it.
you're perfectly fine. I can just see my little, bit in the corner there, and there's this triangle of light there. It's I don't
You've got
think
the spotlight on you. It's okay.
it's sunshine in the UK. I'm trying to soak it all up, but I should close the curtains in here. But here, that's where that's coming from. Hopefully, it's not too obstructive or glaring on anyone. Yeah,
it has a nice effect.
Thank you, lovely. All right, so you're more aiming for balance.
Yeah.
Yes, and with you mentioned that your kids, you put them into daycare, and I this was a Telesummit I listened to some time ago, and I was listening to a mompreneur there, and she said, look, my kids go into, she has young kids as well, they go into daycare because, she said, if I were in the corporate world still, I couldn't take them into work with me.
Right.
It's one of those personal choice pieces. There are a lot of people are into homeschooling, and all the power to them. It's what works for you at the end of the day.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, lovely. So as we said, you've been in business for a while now, and your kids, even if they're at school, probably do have some time, at the fringes of the day where you do some work, and your kids must see this. What sort of impact do you think being a mompreneur has had on your children?
Well, it's definitely taught my boys who are 10 and 13. Mm-hmm. About hard work, and about how when mom works or when my husband works, we're going for a goal, and when we reach that goal, we can be rewarded. It's not like their dad, for instance, who's on a salary and he can take paid vacation and gets sick time and all of that and gets a guaranteed pay. Like, this is the amount of our reward is proportional to, maybe not so proportional, but to the amount of effort that we put in.
Yeah.
So, if you want that video game or if you want your allowance, then you have to leave me the heck alone. Sorry to say it that way. Like, I think they're 3 weeks back into school, but they were home with me all summer. And I'm just like, leave me alone so I can get my work done. If you leave me alone, then we'll try to do something later this week, but this is my work time. I can't send you to go to your dad's office during the day because kids are not allowed. So, go Pokemon Go. Don't get into any strangers' cars, and let me get some work done so we can do everything that we want to do.
Yes.
And they're old enough.
Yes. But it's that negotiating bit that we're doing with them already. My daughter's 7, and yes, the summer that we just had here, pulling the Telesummit together, it is a big undertaking.
Yes.
Juggling the rest of your business and life and all that. And I know for me and one of my dear soul sisters, as we call each other, we child share, we children share, and children swapped. So, my dear friend Sandra, she would have them one half of the day, and then I can get on with some work, and we'll swap it around so she can get on with the work because she's a entrepreneur as well. And so we have to find ways.
Right.
Her family aren't in the town that we live in,
Right.
and my family aren't in the UK at all.
Right.
I can't sit and mope about that. I wish they were, but they're not. And so we have to find ways. I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. Lovely. Right. So we're at question number 8, the final one now. What would you say is the number one habit, the number one strategy, and the number one insider secret that have been responsible for you achieving the success you're achieving as well, and that have allowed you to sustain that level of success as well?
Well, it goes back to my insatiable appetite for learning. Like learning has never been anything that I have skimped on. I remember way at the beginning, I was a subscriber to Lynda, LYNDA.com. And I learned how to build WordPress websites. I learned how to use Illustrator, Photoshop, like anything that I could possibly learn. I learned that way. I signed up for Laura Roeder's social media program that she had at the time before she founded Edgar. I was constantly listening to Amy Porterfield because I really was passionate about social media. I knew from the beginning. So I started really ingesting everything that I could into learning. And then I really just picked that up again recently. So just recently, I really started listening to Brendan Burchard, which I recommend for anybody if you don't.
Absolutely, yes.
Yep. And he does have a podcast. So if you can't afford any of his programs, which he does make affordable through Kajabi and through Brendan.com, and I'm not an affiliate, just need to let you know. But he does have The Charge Life with Brendan Burchard on iTunes.
Yes.
And that this is just going to be another transparent thing, but I had a rough year with anxiety because I was only sleeping 3 to 4 hours a night, and I was pushing way too hard. And I started listening to him, and then somehow I got a really decreased rate for High Performance Academy. I don't remember how I got it. It was the online version. And he talked about how you need to sleep 7 to 8 hours a night, how you need to be drinking water. Step away from your screen, at least all of your screens. And I don't mean step away from your screens an hour before bedtime.
Yes.
So for the first time in years, I have, I'm looking over here because I have a bookshelf right here. I have a whole stack of books, like physical books, instead of my e-reader, that I will get away from my computer an hour before bedtime.
Yes.
It's usually around 11, and I'll go read an actual book. I'm investing in highlighters left and right because the kids steal them. But for the first time in a year, the last 10 weeks have been totally anxiety free because I'm finally taking care of me.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So don't think that you have to keep on pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and like do all-nighters, because all-nighters are not going to benefit you. You're going to be frazzled tomorrow. You're going to be short with your kids and anybody else in your life that you love. You're not taking care of your body. And it's not going to pay off in the end. So get your sleep, get your water. Yeah.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. I fully agree with that. And I think, especially as women, we need more sleep. We physically need more sleep than men do, but we tend to get less, especially those of us who have young children. I remember until my daughter was 2, I was completely sleep deprived for 2 years, and when I could have just dropped anywhere and immediately go off to sleep for those 2 years, and in the end I was anemic, the whole 9 yards. So yeah, it doesn't really serve any of us at all. We do need our sleep.
I am like,
as you highlighted there, yes.
I'm 3 times more productive now
You
that I
are.
get twice as much sleep.
Yes, yes, you tend to be. And exercise and water also are important pieces, you know. And yes, it's hard to squeeze, especially the exercise in,
The exercise, yes.
but we got to make the effort. I know I have slacked off the last few weeks now, pulling this off all together. You know, I would go walking in the mornings, and my friend Sandra and I will go, you know, do a power walk bit, leaving home 6:30 in the morning on a Sunday. But yeah, it is something that I must and will resume.
My exercise is chasing my twins around.
And sometimes at, you know, different periods of our life, and for short periods, you know, these things do happen, and we just have to remember, especially as women, where we're so giving to everyone else except ourselves, like you
Yeah.
said, self-care, self-love, look after ourselves, look after
Yes.
ourselves, and be gentle with ourselves and forgiving us.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yesterday's mistake doesn't need to determine tomorrow's success
Absolutely
at all.
not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
No.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Oh, this has been an awesome, awesome interview. Thank you. Another brilliant one. Thank you so much, Kim.
No, thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome for all you shared. And, you know, that brings us to the end of this particular interview, where we've been truly blessed to have Kim share so generously from her heart. And she's also extended here that you reach out to her if you are experiencing challenges and feel the need to speak with someone, challenges that is in your marriage or relationship. And I know she means that. I know she.
Oh, I do. Yeah.
Kim's details would be here. But in addition to that, Kim also has another generous. Well, this is the offer, isn't it? You want to tell
Yes.
us some more about that, Kim?
Had I known that this was how the interview was going to flow, I don't know if I would have chosen this one. But I've had tremendous success on Twitter. I don't think you need to be investing a lot in Facebook ads. And my offer to you is I have a guide, 3 ways to find your perfect prospect on Twitter. And you can pick that up at bit.ly, bit.ly/3 ways UM. And it's 3 and then ways, WAYS is lowercase and then uppercase UM for Unstoppable Mom.
Okay.
And after you pick that up, you're going to get an offer for a free 15-minute Twitter strategy session where we'll review your Twitter account and see what improvements you can make immediately. So, yeah, bit.ly/3 ways UM.
Good. bit.ly /3 ways, and that's dot.
No, 3 ways
3 ways
UM.
Okay, uppercase there.
Yeah.
And a totally generous offer. Thank you very, very much for extending that to all our listeners. So we're going to say goodbye to Kim. Thank you so much, Kim. It's been an absolute delight having you on.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Take care now. Bye-bye.